Hi, welcome to Part of My Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Coco is with me. Rosie is with me. We are here on Pet Loss Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, if you're new here, drop your name in the chat. I think the moderator should be on soon too. But yeah, welcome. Today is Pet Loss Tuesday. Last week we were off because I was on vacation in Cancun and had a lovely, lovely time. But I've got the girls back today. Hey, Michelle, welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to see you. So glad to see you. Yeah, so came back from vacation a couple days ago. Hey, hello, 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 beautiful moderator. Hey, Adam, welcome, welcome, welcome. My girls are like a mess right now. Dave and Violet are here. Wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Pet Loss Tuesday. I missed everybody being off a week. It's kind of weird. Like this is like, the one of my favorite things to do anyway. So taking a week off was a bit of a it was a nice week off, but I always like doing the shows, and unfortunately I didn't know what kind of reception I was going to get in Cancun. So I didn't want to chance that. And on top of the fact of I was just having a lovely, lovely time with one of my very, very best friends, and just a wonderful week we had with lots and lots of adventure. So I was very, very happy for that. As you can see, the girls are in full swing here. But yes, everybody is happy to be on. Trying to, gosh, I'm looking at myself. I'm like, gosh, I'm really tan. I didn't realize how tan I got in just a week. But that sun over there in Mexico is extremely hot. I mean, coming out of the airport and into the outside to get on the bus to our resort. I mean, it's not just hot. It's like one of those like where you can't breathe hot. And so, yeah, I don't mind heat, but when you have like 100-degree heat with no air moving, that gets a little challenging. But I guess it's one of those things. Once you're there for a while, you start to get used to it. But you also know that you're probably going to be wearing as little amount of clothing as possible, which what I mean, like bathing suits and sundresses, not going nude anywhere. But what I noticed too is that people that live there or worked at the resorts, I mean, again, it was 100 degrees, no air moving, and people were dressed in long pants, long sleeves, and I'm like, how I don't know how they would do it. I don't know how they do it. It's just yeah, that's a bit much for me because I was dying as soon as I entered Mexico. So I did learn within the first 15 minutes of landing in Mexico that it is frowned upon to baby talk drug sniffing dogs. So that is a no-no. So if you ever travel to Mexico and you see in the airport like their little drug sniffing dogs walking around, hey Patty, hey, welcome, welcome. If you ever see their drug sniffing dogs walking around, do not baby talk them. They do not appreciate that. I'm sure the dogs appreciated it, but the handler, not so much, not so much. And I'm sure I got the, because I guess because they're working. I, but I mean, I'm sure it was one of those like stupid American lady is baby talking our drug sniffing dogs, but it was a very, very beautiful dog, and they're working, Adam, they are working. So no time to get baby talked by a American lady just entering the company. It bothers them when they're looking for a drug. I guess so. I, I guess so. And you know what? We have that at our TSA too. We have that at our TSA too, where they have the dogs that walk around and so forth, and you're not, it says on there a big thing, do not pet and all that stuff. But yeah, well, right. I would not do that to somebody's guide dog, but it's just, they're so darn cute. How do you not, they're just so cute. It's like, how do you not like say hi? So, but anyways, so that was the first thing I learned in Mexico. Do not do that. That is frowned upon. Now, with that being said, my hi Coco. Hi Coco. With that being said, my best friend that I went with, I've known her for over 40 years, and she had her girls with her, and just beautiful little girl she has, and we. I always like to screw with my friend. At any chance I get, I do enjoy screwing with her. So we had gone on an excursion, and when we had gotten out of the excursion, there was a van that was taking us back to our resort. And my friend and her little girls had run in to use the bathroom before we were going. Well, while I was standing out by the van, I was just looking around. It was dark outside. And across the street from where we were at, there was I was looking, I'm like, what is that in the grass over there? And so the guide was standing by me, and he's like, he said, that's a dog. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a dog. I'm like, is it homeless? He's like, no. The guy that lives there, that's his dog. He just hangs out in the front yard. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you have to play along with me. You have got to play along with me, please. I said, my friend's coming out here. Just play along with it. So sure enough, my friend, there are a lot. Luckily, I did not see them, Adam. I did not see them, because that would probably have just broken my heart. But my friend comes out of the bathroom with her little girls, and I said, Caesar is going to help us get that dog over there into the back of the van so that I can take him home with me. And she's like, wait, what is he doing? I said, he's going to help us get that dog over there and get it into the back of the van with me, so that I can take him home. I said, he's homeless. He needs a home. And my friend's, the look on her face, she dropped, and she's like, what? She's like, there is no way. I said, no, there is a way. He's going to help us. And he's like acting like he's, going to start, opening the van and putting this dog in. She's like, there's no way. How are you going to get it on a plane? And I'm like, oh, I'll just say it's my service dog. And she's like, there's no way we can do. I said, we can do anything we want. And I mean, you would have thought that she was going to have a coronary right then and there. And the shocking thing is that knowing, she knows me, and she knows that would probably be a believable thing. So I think that's probably part of the reason why she was freaking out as well. So, but finally I said, no, I said, we're not. I said, that dog actually lives there. And she's like, oh my God, well, thank God. There's no way. I don't even know how we would have gotten that through the airport. And so yeah, it was one of the most priceless moments on the trip. On top of the fact of, like I said, I admire the fact that she believed it that much that I would do something as crazy as try to take a dog from Mexico on a plane back home. I don't even know how that would work. I'm sure there'd be some sort of quarantine things, but yeah, it was great. Now, when we were on vacation, I did, and I know some of you have already seen this on my Facebook account. I haven't put it on YouTube yet. I'm going to. I have to change the music because with YouTube's copyright stuff, I can't play some of the music that I had on the videos. But I was able to. We took an excursion where we went swimming with whale sharks. And for those of you that don't know what a whale shark is, it is a very large shark. They can range up to 20-something feet. Here's kind of what it looks like from the head part. And then you go back here. This is kind of a longer version. That's me underneath by its tail, swimming with them. It was really, really cool. It was really, really cool, a really cool experience. They had, it was what, and again, my best friend the day prior to, she said, hey, she's like, there's this excursion. What are you doing? What are you doing? Stop scratching my couch. She said, hey, she's like, hey, do you want to do this excursion? And I'm like, oh, what is it? And she's like, well, we'll go swimming with whale sharks. And I'm like, the first thing out of my mouth was, sure, let's go. Let's do it. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, let's just do it. So not really knowing what it entailed, I guess, I'm at this point in my life where it's like, you only live once, right? Hi, how are you? I know, right? So glad nobody got eaten. I'm just at this point in my life where, you spend most of it just afraid of everything and not doing anything. And I was just like, no, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Right. And so we go the next day, and it was really nice. The place was really nice. They kind of did they explained everything ahead of time to you, but you really don't actually know how it is until you're doing it. So yeah, fish fry. So everybody has to have a life jacket on. There's 2 people that go out at a time with the guide. And so they take you out on this boat at 7:00 in the morning, because you have to go early. You go out in this boat we were on there for a good hour, just trying to get to the point. Right. You had to it was like a good hour until we got out there. So that was, nice. And so right before we got to the spot, the guide comes over and he explains everything. He's like, okay, he's like, go, who's going first? And I'm like, I'm going first. And, he's like, okay, go to the back of the boat, and you put on these flipper things and you have a snorkel thing on. And he's like, you go to the one, he shows you a part on the boat that you have to see. He goes, you swing one leg over, and, and then he's at another spot. And then I went with my goddaughter the first time, and she's on there, and he's like, he goes, have one leg over. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get the boat, and it's going to go, when we see one of the whale sharks, we're going to get the boat as close to the front of it as possible, like its face. And when I tell you, just jump in the water. And that sounds really like easy, correct? I mean, that sounds like really easy instructions. And it was, got the flippers on, got the snorkel on, getting there up on the side of the boat. And then you see it. And then like a kind of reality hits, because you get out there and all of a sudden you see all of these fins. And it's almost like a movie, right? Where you see like Jaws. If you watch Jaws, you see all these fins coming up. And there was like a good, like at least 50 fins. And my thought was, how do they know they're all whale sharks? But at that time, my legs already off the side of the boat, and you see this fin pop up, and it's coming right for you. And in your mind, as a rational person, you think, I shouldn't jump into its face, right? Why am I throwing my body into the face of this, whale shark that's coming at me? But you also don't really have a lot of time to think either, because you're up there, you got one leg going, the boat's going fast, you see this fin come up, and all of a sudden the guy shuts the engine, captain shuts the engine off, and the guide says, all right, throw your other leg over. So you're sitting there facing the water, looking down, seeing all these fins up in the air. And then it was him yelling, jump now. And there's nothing scary. there's no time to hesitate. Let me just put it that way. There's zero time to hesitate on that. You have to go. When it is go time, it is go time. So it was one of those, I was just like, all right, here I go. So I jumped in, my goddaughter jumped in, and he's like, swim, swim, swim. And it's right there, and because you have to swim with it, and you can't be close to the tail or you can get whacked with the tail. And you're just kind of like, once you get there and you put your face in the water, to do the snorkeling part, and you actually see like how magnificent these creatures are. It just was breathtaking. It was a feeling like I don't know, every kind of fear goes out of you. Oddly enough, every like fear goes out of you, and you just kind of, everything is quiet under there, and I was just kind of in awe of seeing this thing. And you're swimming next to it and you're like, wow, this is really angelic. And I'm not at all like thinking that there's something else that could possibly eat me out there. But I was in another part of my head was like, I also am with my goddaughter who is, she's under the age of 10. So I have her kind of by her life vest because I'm, thinking, well, I've lived a good life. I'm not going to, I'm making sure she's going to fulfill her life. And, in all honesty, I mean, when we were out that far, you turn 360 on the boat, you can't see land anywhere. I mean, there's no land anywhere. So you are literally in the middle of the ocean. And even though you're with a guide out there, reality says if God forbid something happened, yeah, you can't save somebody, right? You can't save I mean, if something's going to get you, it's going to get you. And there's no running from it. You can't punch it. I mean, come on, let's be honest, right? So my biggest concern was my goddaughter in all honesty, and making sure that she got back safely. And so which we did. We got to swim with them, and then her and I went up on the boat. Everybody else took their turns, and then they were like, okay, who's going again? And I'm like, me. And so we ended up going again because it was just such a cool experience. And I'm so blessed that we had it. You would definitely not. Right. You would definitely not punch a shark. I would try not to punch a shark either. However, it was one of those things where, they always say that, right? They always say where you try to poke them in, like, if, what are the odds that you're going to be in the water with a shark? It's like, what are the odds that that's going to happen? Oh shoot. What are the odds that that's going to happen? And are you going to not be panicked enough to think, oh, I got to poke you in the eyeballs? So, sorry, I'm getting a message from one of our viewers right now. I was getting a question, a pet loss question that just popped up on my phone. So anyways, but we'll go over that shortly too, because I want to make sure that I address that. But yeah, so it was so cool. Oh, Adam, you said you swam with the dolphins once in Cuba. Now I heard that that's a really cool experience as well. Swimming with dolphins. My best friend and her girls have done that. And I guess it was in a pretty like controlled environment. I guess they had them like fenced off and so forth. Right. right. And uh, dolphins are great from my understanding. I'd love to do that one day. I would really love to do that one day. Uh, they said that my friend said that it was just a same thing, kind of like a really beautiful experience. And of course, they're all like fenced in, so that oh, there's no way that we can, that anything else could get in there or hurt you or anything like that. So I also just got a message now while it just popped up. I There was one of our viewers a couple weeks ago that had mentioned um, a person on YouTube named Mary the Psychic, and she does pet psychic stuff and all that stuff. Well, I reached out to her this past week, and we're going to talk on Friday, and she's going to be planning on coming on a couple of our shows. So I think that'll be exciting too, to have a pet psychic on here and hear some information, especially on kind of life after death. And to me that's interesting stuff. And at many times it gives people comfort in knowing that their pets are still with them, or where they are, or if they're at the quote unquote rainbow bridge, and so forth. So I don't know, I always like insight stuff like that. And I've had a couple in-person pet loss meetings where I brought in a couple people that were able to just do different readings, and it really really helped people. Shockingly enough, it really really helped people. So moderator says she would love to swim with manatees. I would too. What do they call them? The sea cows. Yeah, I would too. Manatees are beautiful creatures. I was on a boat a few years back, and we were going through a canal, and there was a bunch of manatees in the wild in there, and they were just doing their things, and you no way you could touch them, even though they were like right there. And same thing with the whale sharks. They told you before you got in that do not touch them, which is fine. I didn't really want to touch them anyways. However, when you're swimming next to them, there was one time when the shark like turned to come like towards us, and I'm a human, right? And I'm not as fast of a swimmer as a whale shark is, so I'm trying to like get out of its way so that I don't touch it when it's like swimming into me. So so I was trying to back up, like as fast as I could. And I'm trying to like pull my goddaughter too, but I'm like, oh God, well, what do you do if it wants to touch me? I know I'm not supposed to touch it, but what if it wants to touch me? So, anyways, but it was just literal. It was that close. Like I could just put my arm out, and it was right there. So, was there not a theory that they were mistaken for mermaid? Oh yeah, I think that was right. Um, Manatees. Oh yeah, the theory that mermaids were that they were mistaken for mermaid manatees. I don't know. I'm not sure, but that would make sense. But Patty said ocean current did her in when she was out in the ocean, and that was another thing too. Our guide, I was saying, I'm like, he has got to have like thighs of steel, because that current was exhausting. And we had little flippers and stuff on, and I'm not an avid swimmer, so but getting in there and having to swim so fast and then swim back to the boat in the current, because there was even a time when we were kind of out there a little bit, and the guide called my goddaughter and I, and called us, and I looked, and I mean the boat was like way over there, and because we were just kind of like swimming with the whale shark, and not you get in a moment, right? And so we're swimming with this thing, but then he's kind of like calling to us, and I looked, I'm like, oh damn, the boat is way way over there. And that kind of gets you a little panicked, right? Like it's going to be a little distance, but that far I was like, oh my God, I'm shark food at this point. But anyway, so I grabbed her, and we turned around and started swimming the other way. But I mean, it's hard. It is hard. And, our guide had to go in, we were doing two at a time. And, he went in there, what, 6, 7 times with people, and then twice with some of us. So, I mean, to have that much responsibility and staying with people and then swimming and helping people swim. And there was an older gentleman on our boat, which he was probably like in his 70s. And he was a bigger guy too, not very athletic in any kind of fashion, but like he struggled out there. He struggled out there big time. Understandably so. He's older and all that. But I mean, either way, the guide helped him, and he had an amazing experience, and they did a really, really good job. So, anyways, but that was that. And then one of the other nights we went on this beautiful sunset cruise, and that was beautiful as well. And so it just everything just was just so perfect. The resort was perfect. It was all inclusive, and people there just waited on you hand and foot, and just a amazing week I had, but hot, very hot. And as you can see, very, very, my skin is not too much of a fan of the sun. I don't typically, cook like that, but here I am cooked. So anyways, but I know that I kind of rambled on about that. So I do apologize. We've got, Michelle and Aaron are on, Patty's on, Dave's on, the beautiful moderator is on. So welcome. If you're new, welcome. And let's see here. We've got our MVPs. Our MVP dogs are always on. Yes, I am glad that I was able to have that experience as well. It was once in a lifetime, unless we do it again next year. So, which I'm hoping that the whole family can go next year. But I know I showed this one too. Is your human a rescue too? Yes, she's got some issues, but we're working through them. So true with regards to my Coco. She saved me, and I saved her for sure. But anyways, so how is everybody doing? How's everybody's week been? I know that by going through Facebook and so forth, there were. And when you're on Facebook, and I mean, there's so many losses on there, right? And I sit here and I read these beautiful posts, and I see these beautiful pictures of people and their pets, and people and their pets, and you see these beautiful posts, and then on the flip side, you read it and you also see like all these broken people. And all I think when I read it is like, gosh, man, I wish I could respond to every one of these, because some of them, it just reminded me of me when I was going through all of that. And, they're kind of in the same situation. They don't have the answers. They don't know what's wrong with them. And again, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you at all. So to be able to, and those are times I wish I'm like, just come on Tuesdays, show up on Tuesdays, get with our community and get kind of the love and healing that you need, because it's important. It's important. And without places like this or outlets like this, people walk around and they try to hide their grief, and they get embarrassed, and we just have to change that stigma. Have to change the stigma, because it's not fair. It's not fair, right? You go through all of these. Again, you spend years with these animals that love us unconditionally, and yet when they're gone, all of a sudden, for some reason, we're supposed to snap back into reality, right? And that's not fair. That's not fair at all. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that society or people will make us feel like that way, or again, that we have to take our feelings and crush them all down, and that's not right. It's not right. So, anyways, let's get into some stuff here. couple, the question that was asked was, do you feel guilty for comparing a new pet to the one that you lost? Huge question, right? For those of us that have lost pets and have brought a new member of the family into our house, that's hard. That's so hard. And depending on how long the loss was, I wonder too, it almost makes me wonder a little bit. Maybe that's why society treats pet loss and grief as minute, as something minute, because many times when we lose, we will bring another member of our family in, sometimes rather quickly. And, sometimes it might take years, but maybe it's because when we bring them in a little quicker, people don't understand. They don't understand. Right. Exactly. Yeah, Dave, they all have different personalities. And again, that's why society is like, oh, well, just get another one, just replace it. And there's no replacing them. I wish you could, it's just like when you have kids or you have multiple animals, they are all so different. Right. And so it's not, but to people that don't have pets, they don't understand this. To them, it's just like, oh yeah, you just go get another one, go to the store, go pick one up, go to the shelter, go pick one up. And the biggest thing is A, you have to be ready to do something like that. And B, a lot of times when people do adopt or bring another family member in quickly or within a month or 2 months, it's because they're lost. It's because they're lonely. It's because they miss that. They miss that routine. They miss their identity. There's so many things, and it has nothing to do with quote unquote getting over the loss, because that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, right? But what it does is it helps you open your heart to loving again, and it helps fill that void. It helps with the quiet that's in the house. And so many times when people do, they do feel guilty a little bit, or they say, well, did I do it too soon? And I will say this until I am blue in the face. Any decision that you make, whether it's to get a new pet, or whether it's to, if you have to euthanize, any decision that you have to make for your pet in their best interest is the right decision. It is the right decision. And I don't care what anybody else says to you, it's the right decision. So you have to do what is right for you. I think a lot of times we live for other people. We live for the acceptance, and people are harsh judges, especially on the internet. Lord knows sometimes I get some really rude comments on some of my videos. Not too many. I got one really weird one a couple, like last week or whatever. And I was just I read it and I was like, okay, whatever. But people are mean and all that stuff. And I'm to the point in my life where I don't care. I don't care. I am who I am, and this is what I love, and I love people, and I want to help people. So if other people don't like that, that's a them problem. It's not a me problem. But yeah, people will feel guilty about getting another family member, whether it's too soon. Some people will feel guilty if it's been years, and it's just the way that you have to frame things. In your mind, it's the way that you have to frame things. You're not in any way replacing that pet. You're bringing another family member into your home who A, needs a home, B, needs love, and you also need that love. You've experienced it. You had it for years. You had that unconditional love, that coming home to something that was happier to see you than anything else in the world. And then all of a sudden you wake up and it's not there anymore. It's hard. It's hard. So there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel that again, to feel that love again. And again, with the different personalities, honestly, you never know what you're going to get until they come into your house, right? So you may think that you've got one just that may have kind of mirrored the one that you lost, but they could also be, uh, a Spitfire or something completely different. My Rosie and Coco are two very different dogs. Coco's laid back, Rosie's a crackhead sometimes. I mean, she's got this great personality and she's happy and she runs around, and Coco's happy too. But Coco's more relaxed, and two very different personalities. Lola is the same way, right? Yeah, the moderator says something. Yeah, okay, yes, all the time. All the time. Patty says when it's time, adopting a rescue or visiting a rescue and donating money or products is a great step for 100%. 100%. I always say that too. Every year, I know, right? I know I shouldn't call her a crackhead, but she does. She runs around like crazy. But yeah, and like once a year or twice a year, when it's kind of the anniversary of some of the ones that I lost, I will do that. I will go to either the shelters where they were rescued from. Well, it's usually the shelters where they were rescued from, because that's the yay. Or when or another local, if somebody's having like a local donation drive, I will make a donation in their name. I will also go and pick up, go to Kroger or whatever and pick up bags of dog food, cans of cat food, all this stuff, and drop it off as a donation. I did that when Coco hit her year mark with us. When Coco hit her year mark rescued with us, Coco and I went back to her shelter where she was at, and we brought all this food and so forth, as a thank you, because she was just a wonderful blessing. And without them and without caring organizations like that, we wouldn't have the opportunity to give these animals love and home. But in no way are any of these two or my Lola a replacement for any of these. These were all so different, and I love them all differently. I love them a little too hard. Oh, Coco did miss me last week. Yeah, Coco is very, very attached to me. They all are, but Coco is very, very attached to me. And the moderator had sent me a picture. I think she was just trying to make me feel bad on vacation. But she had sent me a picture, and it was Rosie, and then Coco was behind Rosie staring at the garage door. And yes, you were. And she just kept saying Coco's sitting by the garage door, because that's the door I come into when I come home. I know the moderator took very good care of them, but again, Coco was just sitting there by the door, like staring at the door, waiting for me to come home. And it was just like, oh, my poor dog. Oh, because they don't know where you're going. And a couple times when we went on vacation, we took them with. So, this time, of course, they weren't going to Mexico. There's no way. And again, I wouldn't even know how to begin to do that process, because I even know if you go to Hawaii, you have to have like all of their shot records. And even though that's like part of the United States, you have to have all of their shot records. And then if you're missing anything when you land there, your dogs or cats have to be quarantined for, I think it's up to like 6 days there. And I mean, oh my God, I'd be a hot mess. There's no way. So I wouldn't want to put them in any kind of situation like that. And I don't think anybody would, right? And then, gosh, I've seen those videos on YouTube where people, if they don't take their pet on the plane with them, like if they have a bigger animal and they have to put them in boarding. I've seen it where people's pets have gone missing, and they're just like crying in the airport, and it's just horrible, horrible, horrible. So I would not want anybody to see me ugly cry anywhere, but B, like I would probably have to turn an airport upside down to get my dog. So, and I would not make any apologies for that. So, as I don't think any good dog or cat owner would, right? If God forbid somebody misplaced or took your dog, I think you would be the same way, right? Like just tearing everything up. So, hmm, sorry. Tried a new Starbucks coffee today, and it's very interesting. So, anyways, hashtag Starbucks. But anyway, so yeah, so do not compare. I do not feel guilty when uh, bringing a new pet into your home. Do not feel guilty comparing the new pet. Here's another thing too. Don't feel guilty if you are comparing the two. That happens as well. People will have their new pet, and sometimes you're looking for all those qualities in the new pet that your old one had, and bottom line is you're not going to get it. You might get some of them, right? But you're not going to get the whole thing, and it's just going to be a different dog, a different personality. So you have to start seeing your new pet as its own individual, as its own individual. Bonding with that new pet, that can go a lot of different ways. Being in pet loss support for years, I've seen there's been times when people have adopted and thinking that that was going to kind of fix a situation for them, or again, fill that void in their life, and they found that it didn't. They found that they couldn't bond, or every time they bonded, they had so much guilt that, there's been a couple times when people have returned, their animals, just because they couldn't do it. So making that decision to bring a new one in the house is very serious, because you don't want that. You don't want an animal to come in your house and then to have to leave, unless it's a horrible situation. Maybe if you have other dogs or cats and they're not getting along to the point where it could be dangerous for everybody involved, then that's a different situation. That's because you don't want I I don't like I don't like having a pet go back, but I also don't like putting other pets at risk as well, because that doesn't even do anything for the new pet. If everybody's fighting all the time, that's not a happy home. So yeah, there are times when that has to happen. My one gentleman, years and years, he was grieving his cat so hard, and the vet, our vet at the time, she took in rescue cats and all that, and she had talked him into adopting this cat, and it was probably a good 6-7 months after after his pet had passed, but she talked him into adopting this cat to help him, and maybe it lasted 3 weeks, and he returned it to the vet, which was good because then she could find it at home. But he returned it within 3 weeks, and his thing was he was just so kind of broken up over everything that he just couldn't do it. It wasn't time for him. It has to be the right time, but you have to make that decision. Even, friends, family will try to do where they'll get you a dog or a cat, or, oh, I'm going to make them feel better. And they'll do that. And it doesn't go well. I don't know how many times I have to tell people that, because they're, and it's just because your friends or family are scared. They love you so much. I think that they're scared, and we're, as humans, we're control freaks. We want to control everything, or we feel like we're we need to control everything. And when we're not, it's like, riding being strapped to a blind horse who's running towards a burning barn. It's all out of control, out of our control, and we get scared and we get panicky. And it's the same way when you have somebody that's grieving pet loss. Friends and family don't quite understand it. Maybe they've gone through it, so yeah, they get it, but they don't understand that specific situation. And many times it's like, oh, let me just go get them another one, and they mean well. They mean well. They're just trying to make you happy or fix the issue, but many times it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision because the person's not ready. Um, so, I mean, it's very good intent. Sometimes very, very good intent, but many times it can backfire. So I always just tell people to stay away from that if possible. Or if you're going to do that, let them know. Say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about, I really want to, help you, bring a new family member into your life. Is that okay? Would you like to, can we pick it out together? I want to be part of the process with you. Anything supportive. I think that's a great thing. So, yeah, that was a huge thing. But anyways, and I don't know if any of you have gone through that, with trying to bring in a new pet into the family and having this, weird guilt feeling. Another guilt is when, how do you know when you're healing? You're healing when you can talk about your pet more with ease instead of tears. And there's going to be times when there's tears because that's perfectly natural and that's normal. But you can talk more about your pet without breaking down in tears. And I'm at the point in my life where I can talk about all of these guys without breaking up. The only time I break up, which you probably you've seen it on the show, and I make no excuses for it, but is usually when I talk about the ending, and that is the sad part. But once you start healing, you start focusing on their entire life. You start focusing on the good parts and the great memories and the stupid things that they did, or the things that made you crazy, right? So that's when you're healing, not because you love them any less. It's because you're past the point of shock. You're past the point of you're in the point of acceptance that they're waiting for you at the Rainbow Bridge. You've come a long way in your grief journey. So now that it just makes it easier. Your mind now knows that I'm okay. Things are going to be okay. They're going to be waiting for me. There's all these, great things that our mind does for us. And the beauty of it is we have the ability to control it. So it's just how you reframe things. It's how you reframe the story. And, that's the positive of it. So, but that doesn't happen automatically. It happens with time. So you just start rebuilding a new relationship with the memory. And, you miss them and it hurts. You're grateful they were in your life. You're glad you're ahead of them. Grief slowly shifts from only pain to a mixture of sadness and love. So yeah, it's, but it, there's still triggers involved, depending on how it is. I mean, there's still triggers for me. I'm sure there's triggers for everybody else on here. A trigger is something that will automatically make you remember the pet or remember the situation. It could be a sight, it could be smell, it could be sounds. Sounds are huge. Definitely visuals. Unfortunately, visuals are horrible triggers, and sometimes you just can't get those out of your mind, even as hard as you try. Because again, yeah, you can control your mind, but sometimes you are just in those situations where you'll hear something and it will trigger that visual, and it's a weird. I always think it's a weird kind of feeling because it's bad. But then, like in my case, it's a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but it's not a great thing. But then I kind of feel like I don't want to push it away too far because then I don't want to forget it. There's always love in remembering everything, and I as much as some things hurt in life, you don't want to forget them because that was a part of the journey, and it's just weird, right? So yeah, it's triggers are just part of life. But we can get to the point where, but we can't. Come on, you coming up? Come. Nope, she had second thoughts. Coco was going to come up here. She looked like she was going to get up here, and then she had second thoughts. I don't know if Rosie probably bullied her into not coming on here, but anyway, so we are like at the 51-minute mark, and it's gone by so quick today. I am so glad everybody showed up. You have no idea how much you mean to me. Friday is going to be Frenchy Friday. We are back on track with everything, and I'm just so happy to be back on. If you know anybody that needs a channel like this, please let them know about us. Let me get I've got my candle here too. Hang on, got my candle. So any of animals that you have lost, throw their names in the chat, and we will light the candle for them right now. So, yeah, just throw their names in the chat. Maybe throw their age in there when you lost them. Like, how old were they when you lost them? And let us know. Was it a dog, a cat? What kind? These are some things that we don't talk about sometimes. Is what kind of breeds did you like, and are you? I always stayed with the boxers for all of my life until we got Rosie, and again, she's just to me kind of like a miniature boxer. Just again, she's spunky and fun. Yes, I hope that you have an amazing rest of your night too, Erin. You have no idea how much I appreciate you. You're absolutely amazing. And your Erin's page on Facebook, check it out. It's In the Quiet. He also has a book on Amazon, In the Quiet. Please check that out. Erin does an amazing work, an amazing job on his page. He's got a beautiful, beautiful community that participates, and they share these wonderful stories. They're going through the same kind of heartache and loss that we all have been through, and you can be a benefit to people. People helping people is a beautiful thing. So make sure you stop on by there. My stuff is on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, so please hop over there and see that. But I will keep this up, and again, Friday is our Frenchy Friday, so we'll have a little bit more fun there, and hopefully I won't get into any kind of adventures. Hopefully I do get into some adventures. Now that I'm back to work, I'm trying to settle back into work and all those things. We moved our office, or our office moved, so oh man, the stuff that I had taken from my one office to this new office, I didn't realize like what a pack rat I was, and how many Frenchy items I had at my desk in my office. And the new office is a lot smaller than the last one was, so I had to really just consolidate and cut down on everything. And man, but all the Frenchy stuff I had on that desk, I'm shocked those people didn't think I'm a lunatic. They probably do, and that's fine. But yeah, but anyways, yeah. The candle is for all the ones that we've lost and loved and given us unconditional love. Uh, we keep their spirit alive every time that we do this, and um, it's always it's just a joy. It's a joy to have everybody here. It's a joy to have even the people that watch after the live. Um, just very, very, very blessed and happy. So um, until Friday, Frenchie Friday, which I'm trying to think. We'll get some good topics on Frenchie Friday. If anybody's got any good topics to talk about, throw it in the chat or send an email to Pardon My Frenchie. This is me, 143. Oh, Dottie. Yes, Dottie. Dottie. Adam, how's your mom doing? Speaking of that. Speaking of Dottie, how's your mom doing, Adam? I hope she's doing better. Patty, I did not realize that Buck was only 9 years old. I did not realize that he was only 9. Buck was the dog. He was a boxer. He was a beautiful fawn boxer that I grew up with. I didn't realize he passed at 9 years old. Angel, yep. Aaron's Angel. Beautiful, beautiful dog. Beautiful, beautiful dog. But yeah, I did not realize that. And I've got my Harley, my Sammy, my Daisy, Cookie, Sweet Pea, and it's never enough time. It is never enough time. Hope. Aw. It was kind of interesting though when I was on vacation with my friend and her 3 little girls. I had my ring on, the one that I had made with all of their pet fur in there, and the youngest was looking at my ring, and I go, take a closer look at my ring. And she looked at it, and I said, do you know what's in there? And she's like, no. I said, that is all pieces of fur from all of the dogs that I've lost. And she looked at me, and I said, yeah. I said, I had it made, and it's all their fur from all the ones so that they're always with me. So they always go with me wherever I go. And she was like, oh, that's so sad. I said, no. I said, it's good because I had them in my life. I was blessed with their love, and now I can carry a piece of them with me wherever I go. So, I think that it's important too when we go through our grieving process, if there's, kids, and it's important to explain things to children and actually in a way that they can understand. But it's important for them to know that it's okay. It's okay to grieve, but it's also a part of life that it's hard. But we wouldn't have it any other way, right? I would never say that I didn't want any of those experiences. And so whenever I talk to kids about pet loss, I always frame it very positively, because I don't want kids to be afraid of death, and I don't want them to be afraid of losing their animals, because again, it's a part of life. And I think every kid should have some sort of animal that, they can feel the unconditional love and responsibility. So, it's important to frame things right with kids, so that they're not afraid. And because, even when they lose them, they're going to see probably their parents not in a good position, grief wise. And sometimes it'll scare them, and you don't want to scare them, but you also don't want to have to hide your feelings. And so it's always good to talk to kids about the subject and just keep it positive. But anyways, we'll stop ranting. Yes, yay for Dottie. And I hope your mother is doing well, Adam. I hope everything's going well. This week, Bubba hurt his bad leg. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, no, that's not a good thing, Michelle. Michelle said this week Bubba hurt his bad leg and she completely panicked that this was him, but he came back. Oh, thank God. Well, thank God for that, right? Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. And hopefully he stays better all week as well. So, anyways, I will see everybody on Friday for Frenchy Friday, and we will do this again and have a good time on Friday. And if you have a friend, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. You have a wonderful community. Thank you for being part of the Frenchy Revolution, and have a wonderful and safe week and a wonderful rest of your night. It looks like it's going to rain here a little bit more than it has been. So take care and have a very, very wonderful, blessed night. Yep. See everybody on Friday. Bye. Bye, bye, bye.